Welcome to Keep It Weird, the podcast for all things strange and unusual, spectacular and spooktacular, scientific but also woo-woo, and everything in between. Each week we have the distinct pleasure of sitting down and chatting about something weird, and this week is no different. Today we get to chase down a prison escapee, find some hidden government bases that definitely house alien life, and we may even get to talk smack about our husbands, which I'd be lying if I said I wasn't excited for. So,
Yes.
It's probably best that you find your darkest shade of sunglasses and strap on your tinfoil hats because the government is absolutely listening. My name is Ashley, and this is my co-host Lauren.
Hello, weirdos. Man, you got me
We're
excited.
Back in the New York groove. We're back. We missed 1 week. I don't know.
It does
Did
feel
we?
like we
One.
were gone forever.
It was one.
It was just one because
Yeah.
we had recorded two before. Listen, but it feels like we've been gone for
and
an
now
eternity.
This one's late. Good Lord. Listen,
doing
we're
our
fine.
best.
Okay?
Everything's fine.
We're fine. We're doing our best. Everything's okay. We're just busy.
We're tired. We're busy.
Gals.
We got things. We got responsibilities, but we're here. We're
We got
back.
things. We got families. We got a kitten trying to knock down the door. I can hear her outside going meow and like playing with the beads on the door.
Pretending that she's never been loved ever in her life, as cats do. Like, why?
Well, I just got home from work and like I got home a little late, so I was kind of rushing and getting stuff together, and she was following me around like, "What are we doing?" And then I came in here and shut the door, and she's like, "Mom."
That is
Oh my
fair.
God.
When she didn't get after work snuggles, she's like, "Come on, lady."
We have the air mattress still aired up, and that's her second favorite thing in the world. Her first favorite thing in the world is garage, and then her second favorite thing in the world is a blown up air mattress in the spare room, and then her third favorite thing in the world is like me and Joe. But
Love it. I love that the air mattress is really what gets her. That's a beautiful thing.
God, she loves the air mattress.
It is so great. And I love the way,
What are you gonna do?
for anyone who's seen the Barbie movie, I promise this is not a big spoiler if you haven't, but the way you said her second favorite thing is garage, that reminds me of Ken's job is beach.
Beach.
Just that's all you have to say, just the word.
She loves garage.
Garage. Yes, I understand. Garage is cool.
Guys, it's almost time. We need to start really seriously putting some thought into our October episodes. And
Coming.
this is our 7th Halloween. I'm out of ideas. So send in your ideas. What do you want this Halloween? What's going to really get your blood flowing?
That is so true. We honestly need you guys to put our show together for the month of October.
Yeah.
We
or
can't
like for
do
the
it.
rest of time.
For the
Just
rest of
like,
time, because we're like, we've done everything. Like 7 years of
We've done it
October,
all.
we've done it all. Like,
I've
what's
told
left?
all my scary stories.
Every
I guess
Every
just
spooky
gotta get some new
tale.
ones.
All I can think of is I'm like, we will just tell ghost stories every episode because that's all I can think of. But I know you are all
Okay,
creative out
sure.
there.
I'll die. Yeah. I thought about that once. I was like, 1 October, we should just do a whole month of listener ghost stories. And I was like, oh, do you want no life for several months?
I
That's
know,
the hardest
preparing.
thing for you to do. But whatever.
I know, it's true. Yeah, you just editing all of that is not fun. So we're going to have to figure out other things. Help us. We're just
We will have a listener ghost
little
stories
babies.
episode, though.
I mean,
we're not
questions asked.
monsters.
Please.
We just won't have 4. Anyways,
Fair.
let's get right into it. Lauren is up first. What do you got for us?
I got a little news segment that we like to call This Week in Weird. I feel like both of us had a little ooh, and I hope when you edit this all together it sounds as cool as I'm imagining, or it'll sound stupid, but
Usually doesn't.
usually doesn't sound great.
Usually doesn't.
This Week in Weird, our news segment that used to exist right here on the YouTubes, but now kind of is just inserted into our show as we're on YouTube, so it all works out, which is real fun.
Yeah.
This week, it's a little bit of a crime story, but not murder, so it's okay. Don't you fear.
Don't forget, guys.
We're not getting too disgusting or disturbing today. Honestly, I'm just fascinated by this guy. We are looking at a con artist who was just caught in Florida just last week. And he's just
Love
one
a
of
good
those.
con.
I know. It's just one of those
Artist.
things where you're like, you're committing crimes and that's not okay, but like, I'm impressed. Like, you're doing something really cool.
I have that stuff all the time. There was that, I put it in the newsletter last month. It's a documentary on Hulu. It's called The Jewel Thief.
Yes.
And it's all about this guy and his life and how he became a, like, master thief. And it was just one of those things where it's like, sorry, I'm on this guy's side.
Because they're so good.
He's really good at thieving. Like, what am I supposed to do? Not root for him?
I know. Like, I mean, credit
not
where
hurting
credit is
anybody.
due. Come on. So,
Anyways, go on.
yes. So it is very exciting. I'm glad you're with me on this. A career con artist who escaped from a federal prison in Colorado nearly 5 years ago was just captured last week. And if you're watching this in the future, we are in early August of 2023. So he was caught just last week on August 1st while moving into a $1.5 million house near the ocean on Florida's Gold Coast, according to federal officials. So just like ballin' in Florida after being on the run
Truly.
for 5 years.
It can happen for you guys. Just keep your
Dreaming
vibrations
and
up.
conning.
You can be a con artist, prison escapee, and also get the dream house that you've always wanted.
Exactly. Just follow.
Or maybe you can't because he got arrested.
He did
okay,
get caught.
Tell me more.
Federal marshals arrested Alan Todd May, age 58, at this big-ass house in Fort Lauderdale on Tuesday, August 1st, while his movers were unloading a U-Haul truck just into his new mansion. He was wearing a Rolex at the time of his arrest, and he was driving a high-end Mercedes, and looked put together, a wealthy man. It was an anonymous tipster who led authorities to May, and he was living under the name Jacob Turner. And the tipster was able to find him after spotting a published photo of him at a really posh gala fundraiser event, which it's like, come on, don't pose for photos if you're... That's
what are you doing? Or get facial reconstructive surgery or something.
I know, seriously.
You can afford it, apparently.
You have the money for it. Go get that
Get
surgery.
some fillers.
Get those cheeks up. So the photo showed him wearing a pink shirt and a pink blazer and pink tinted glasses. I mean, the Barbie movie had just come out, so like we love that for him. And it was it was just in theme. And it was published on the Palm Beach Daily News, and somebody recognized the picture and turned him in. And again, he was not exactly keeping a low profile. I'm wondering if he just like got caught up in the glitz and the glam, because before that, he had been getting away with it, clearly, for 5 years. He did start to, just in the last year, flaunt his wealth in high society down in South Florida, and that is when tips started to come in, because there was a tip line that was set up. But I want to go back a little bit to like who this guy is and how long he's been doing it, because it's wild. So, this man has a string of convictions going back to 1983 for bad checks, credit card abuse, theft, and fraud. And he is in custody in Florida awaiting extradition to Colorado at the time, but the U.S. Marshal Service had been looking for him since December of 2018 when he allegedly, this is kind of badass, stole a U.S. Bureau of Prisons truck and escaped from federal lockup in Englewood, Colorado. I'm sorry, I love that.
Some people are just really good at crimes.
I know. He was serving a 20-year prison.
Punish them for it?
He stole a whole ass prison truck and drove away. He was serving a 20-year prison sentence for mail fraud over a $7 million Ponzi scheme in which prosecutors said he used the proceeds for all of his extravagant personal expenses, including houses, cars, and plane tickets for himself and lovers that he had over the years. So that is why he was serving time. And while in federal custody, May managed to steal another $700,000 by filing fraudulent documents and intercepting unclaimed oil and gas royalties that were owed to several companies. And this was all found out in June 2022. So while he was on the run in that 5-year span, that's when the indictment came through, charging him with mail and wire fraud as they were uncovering all of this that he had been doing while in prison. And that is what kind of got them back on his trail, because by the time these charges came through, he had been on the run for 3.5 years already, and the trail had gone cold. They were sort of like, this guy's just gone.
He's gone.
We're over it. But they were like, okay, with these new charges, let's get to getting again. So they opened the tip line. They started looking for him again. And that's when tips started coming through, and he was starting to flaunt about a little bit. But then I found this out, which I was kind of like, shouldn't these be on lockdown and not have the ability for people to escape? But apparently the Federal Bureau of Prisons has struggled with security for many years, and a lot of prisons have such lax security that doors are just open, security cameras are turned off, and sometimes they won't know somebody is missing for like 2 to 3 days because they just like don't care.
Mishandling of funds, that's where it starts.
And there it
Mishandling
is.
of funds. You know where I learned that? Orange is the New Black. Not the TV show, but also the TV show. So
TV show showed us too that nobody like gave a shit and was like,
that they have security cameras, but some of them don't work, and
or people just look the other way.
They won't
and
fix
like,
them.
What fight? What murder? All the things.
What rape?
So
yeah,
exactly. So May had a head start of somewhere in between 24 to 48 hours before the U.S. Marshals were even put on the case.
Good
They
Lord.
didn't even know he was gone. So, like, he was out of there. And then they got on there. Tips came in from California, Wisconsin, Michigan, Texas, and Florida. Like, suddenly everyone was like, wait, I've seen this guy. And
he pulled a Ted Bundy. Didn't Ted Bundy escape from prison in Colorado and go to Florida?
I feel like that's true. That sounds right. That's just the path to take.
Yeah, apparently.
That's the way to go if you're thinking about it. Investigators' big break came on July 25th when the tipster saw him in the photo. And also the fundraiser he was at was a suicide hotline group that was meeting and talking about suicide prevention. And so I guess people were also leaving tips on the suicide hotline, which it's like, isn't the greatest, because you could have been clogging up the line for other people, but it helped because then the group who held the event was like, oh, like, let's look through our photos and find this guy. And then they were able to lead investigators to him. They tracked him to a penthouse apartment first in Palm Beach. And then on Tuesday, August 1st, they followed May's partner in a U-Haul moving truck almost 50 miles to the new address at this huge mansion in Fort Lauderdale, where May was arrested without incident. So he is back in custody, and they have turned their attention to whether this man had help to get all of the money he got for this lavish lifestyle, who was involved, who has, been on his team. They're looking at other people who are posing with him in photos, blah, 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 trying to kind of piece it all together because he was living high up. He was living that high-end lifestyle. So one last interesting thing, on the LinkedIn page associated with this man named Jacob Turner, the alias he was going under, his title was Certified Mediator in Palm Beach. And when they looked back at his educational records while in prison, because, you can take classes while you're in prison, he had completed a class on mediation while in prison and had been preparing for this for years.
Good. Well, I'm glad that prison prepared him for something in the real world.
He put his skills to use. He was helping people, I hope, maybe. The guy is good. We have to give him that. And that's just my news con artist story.
Boy, oh boy. You know what? I was thinking about this recently because, after he was probably getting pretty comfortable. We watched some documentary. I'm actually going to mention it on next week's episode, but it's called A Body in the Basement. It's on Max. It's on Max right now, and I think it's on episode 3. But one of the episodes, they just arrested a woman for her role in a murder, and it was 16 years after the murder. She had a whole new life, a new family, all this stuff, and it was ugh, can you imagine?
You're finally kind of settled in. You think you're good to go, and then
committing a murder sucks. But then, 16 years later, being arrested and tried for that murder, boy.
When you think
you're
worse. Okay, I know.
Speaking of Barbie,
I know. Look at you, pink nails, pink cup. Barbie, blue.
Oh well.
I'm Ken, I guess. Also, this is like so rude because it's his physical appearance, but you'll have to look up a
Can't wait to
photo of
see
him,
him.
and I know you will, like before this episode. He's just kind of like he looks like a goobery dad who's going to be on the sidelines at your soccer game. And it just kind of surprised me. I think I was imagining like Leonardo DiCaprio, like Catch
Right.
Me If You Can, like that, just like handsome man conning everyone with his charm. But he's just like a dad.
The best kinds are
58-year-old
pretty
papa.
average.
Which honestly, I can see how he would slip under the radar
Yeah.
like this too. But like the picture that they're posting on all the news outlets is like a selfie he took of himself in a car.
Oh, good.
He just looks like anyone's dad being like, "Look, I got new glasses," and sending it to their daughter. So I'm just excited for you all to see.
And he escaped from prison. Cool.
Good for him.
Love him.
you know?
Wish
Love
he
him,
could have got
support
away
him.
from it
Sorry.
longer. Well, it's
know.
one of those things where it's like, unless he hurt some people. Because there are some cons I don't get down with. Like the guys that will
Totally.
date like single mothers and like
Yes.
take all their money and shit. Like absolutely not. That's not
Yeah.
the con I get down with.
The Tinder swindler, wasn't that
Yeah,
the guy
exactly.
yeah,
But like guys
that
who,
guy
like
sucked.
if you rob from a bank, I don't give a shit. That's not my money.
I know. Like, all right,
It's
fine.
insured.
But
You're not hurting anybody.
I will be curious to see, the more details that come out. Like, I hope he wasn't hurting a lot of people in his
Right.
wake, and maybe horrible things will come out about him, and then we do not support him. Let me be clear, but yeah, it just
yeah, and technically I don't support him. I just like
no, I'm
rooting
just
for him to-
fascinated. Like,
to get through it.
oh goodness, yes.
Well, I have a new segment. Not news, new
It's important.
segment. And it's called, I'm calling it,
Zed, we have a bug.
Here Come the Men in Black. It's the MIBs. Here come the MIBs. It's time to check the tabloids, shake down a small dog, and put on the last suit you'll ever wear, because there is a lot going on right now in the world of extraterrestrials. I love how neither of our sunglasses could pass for
Fit
Men
the
in
theme.
Black
I know.
sunglasses. Do you think anyone would look at
It's-
us and be like, Men in Black?
No, they'd be like, "Ooh, are they going to the pool?" And it's so funny because I had two pairs prepared because I wasn't sure what the context was. Ashley was just like, "I have a new segment, get ready." So like these,
Those actually are Men in Black
more.
sunglasses.
but
I prefer the
no,
other ones.
I
Go
like
put those on.
I like where we went with them.
Yeah.
And this Barbie. Now I finally
Oh my
feel Barbie.
gosh, very stylish. As you may or may not know, the world is goo-goo for ET right now, what with the recent congressional hearing in which former military officials told Congress that the government knows more about UFOs than they are telling the public. I have to take these off because I can't read.
Okay, I was like, I can't see the screen. All right.
I'm an elderly woman.
Could not see anything.
I was like, what are the most striking... Like, please.
Oh.
Ma'am, you are 35. I do have an eye appointment on Saturday, so
Oh,
maybe
love
I can
that
get
for you.
sunglasses or the kind that fade, where there's a transition.
Oh my gosh, yes, my dad has those.
Yeah.
I need a pair.
I would have told you even like last year, like transition sunglasses, you fucking nerd. And now I'm like, God, how convenient. Kind of want
I
some.
know. I
Anyways,
want a pair. Yep. For sure.
one of the most striking claims at the hearing came from David Grush, a United States Air Force officer and former intelligence official who swore under oath that although he is unable to provide information in a public setting, he would be able to do so in a sensitive, compartmented information facility, whatever that is, that he has proof that the government is in possession of non-human spacecraft as well as biologics of non-human origin. He also testified that he knew of multiple colleagues who had been physically injured by not only UAPs themselves, but also the federal government in reaction to or by consequence of UAP disclosure.
Ooh.
Pretty wild stuff. But some people
You
still
love it.
saw the hearing and went, boo, still no proof, over and over again.
Right.
No proof, no proof. And I get it.
Yep.
But
A
also,
whole lot of talk without
I
concrete
get it.
evidence.
But also part of the reason we even had this hearing was so that we could open the doors to providing the proof. Because as it stands now, it's too dangerous for the people who have said proof to come forward with any of it without at best ruining their reputation and at worst getting murdered. So, so that's what's going on in the mainstream. But I'm here to tell you what's going on in the underground, okay? The dark corners of the web. What UFO nerds are talking about behind the scenes. I have no doubt some, if not all of these, are going to make it onto your For You page on TikTok sometime soon if they haven't already. So here's the 411 on what's going down outside the walls of Congress in the UFO world. First up. Codename SEDGE Masters. SEDGE as in like hedge with an S, which I don't know if that's a real word. SEDGE Masters. It's a name. So in the wake of this hearing and these testimonies, a lot of UFO nuts are going back to past issues of UFO Magazine. Back in the 90s, for example, and pointing out how accurate the information that was shared was, despite it easily being written off as fan fiction or a total hoax. And one that I've seen recently popping up is a 3-article series known as SEDGE Masters. SEDGE Masters is a fictional character who gets recruited to join the, quote, crash retrieval program.
Okay.
And this was submitted as a form of fiction. However, in 2019, several documents were leaked from the estate of Dr. Edgar Mitchell, former U.S. Navy officer and NASA astronaut, to a Dr. Hal Puthoff, the co-founder of To the Stars Academy with Tom DeLonge. He also was a part of the Stargate project in the 70s and 80s. He was studying Uri Geller. So he's been around this arena for a very long time. And these documents that were leaked were essentially emails from 1999 in which Hal said that he and his team have reason to believe that the SEDGE Masters stories are only slightly fictionalized versions of the source's experiences because some of the details included in the stories were able to be verified in classified documents that he was able to research, and he felt there was no way this person who wrote it would have known about them without actually having the experiences he wrote about.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
And the reason today in 2023 the SEDGE Masters stories are being brought up again is because they're essentially confirming a lot of the things that David Grush and these other men coming forward are claiming. So I have a few examples. One, the story references military in Europe experiencing UAP sightings pre-World War II. And the U.S. government being involved in the recovery of a craft. So during David Grush's News Nation interview last month, he stated that 1933 was the first recovery in Europe. It was actually in Magenta, Italy. Supposedly, they recovered a partially intact vehicle, and the Italian government moved it to a secure airbase in Italy until around 1944-1945. And it was around that time the Vatican notified the U.S. government that the craft was in the hands of then dictator Mussolini. So after he died, we swooped over and took it.
Whoa.
Supposedly.
Supposedly, maybe.
Maybe that's what happened. 2, the CIA program title codename given to the retrieval team was Zodiac. And aside from the incident in Italy, Zodiac supposedly recovered 11 other craft from 1947 to the 1980s, which fits the claim Grush has previously made that he knows for a fact the U.S. government has received material from 12 crashes. Adds up. 3, some of these craft were not downed in the U.S. They were turned over to our government by friendly powers. For example, Denmark, which allowed the U.S. to retrieve a pretty big disc that had submerged off the Danish coast. And this one was huge to me because the whole, like, maybe they go underwater theory
exactly.
was not
That's what
really
I'm thinking.
talked about.
No.
Aside from the last, 10 years.
Right. Now it's becoming more of a thing. I'm like, look at that.
So if it's being written about in 1998, that's pretty cool. For when it comes to describing Zodiac and the CIA, the articles said that Zodiac was a secret dark program that seemed to be able to skirt the chain of command with impunity, spend money earmarked for other projects, and generally do whatever it damn well pleased, all in the name of national security, which is essentially exactly what these recent hearings were about. The fact that, like, there has to be some oversight. We have to be like... Just as taxpayers, we need to know what our tax dollars are going towards. You can't just be like, don't worry about it.
What are you working on? Yeah, it's under...
Because if you have this alien technology and all you're doing with it is trying to, you know, make weapons out of it, count my tax dollars out.
Right, I don't want to be a part of that.
I don't think we need stronger weapons. I think we got the strongest weapons there are. And
we're already covered there.
Planet Earth pretty dangerous.
Yes, 1000%.
Finally, some other interesting details in these articles from 1998 claim that Wright-Patterson Air Force Base has over 2 million reports of UAP-related sightings from the public. Many involve, this was so cool, I can't believe I've never thought of this, many involve small glowing balls of various colors, and that those seem to be scanning devices released by larger craft. Which blew my mind. Like, why did I never think of that?
Scanning devices. Interesting. Because we're always talking about, like, glowing balls and orbs and things.
Where it's like, it's not a craft.
It's like, what is that?
But
They're
it is
sending
a light
it to scan, get information.
That is moving in a way that it shouldn't.
We talk about moving glowing lights all the time. Oh. Okay.
So that could be scanning the area.
And that makes total sense.
Yeah. And also that the occupants found, that we have found, almost seem to be biological robots. So yes, living biological organisms, but much more like drones or worker bees than intelligent biological life. And these articles also dipped into the philosophy of some of the creatures, which was fascinating and suggests that we have had some sort of contact with the beings.
Well then, what did they say? What do they want? What's going on?
I'll get to it, actually. I'll tell you exactly what they want. It's not as scary as you think. And it's a new theory we can start talking about. Okay, which leads me to my next topic. A mystery molecular biologist. 1 month ago, a now deleted Reddit user posted in the Aliens subreddit that they worked as a molecular biologist for a national security contractor from the late 2000s to the mid-2010s, and they were involved in a program to study exobiospheric organisms, or EBO, essentially study aliens. He released a huge breakdown of who was involved, where the lab was, the genetics of the beings, their anatomy, and their biological systems. He even claims that in his first weeks of employment, he spent most of his time reading over reports, memos, presentations, and standard operating procedures about the biology of EBOs and a few others that deal with their food and nutrition, their religion, and their culture. There were no documents available to the biologists on their technology. Surprise, surprise. I'm actually going to link the entire post, the Reddit post, in the description of this episode.
I was going to ask if it can still be found.
But just in case it mysteriously disappears, I have copied all the text, and I'm going to post it on our Patreon for free at www.patreon.com/keepitweirdpodcast. So if the link is mysteriously down,
because I bet that link is going to be broken at some point.
Well, the user is deleted.
How long was it up before? Okay, so the user and the post are totally deleted. How long was it up? Do you know?
I don't know exactly how long it was up because I didn't find it until last week. The user had already been deleted. Okay. And the user was saying that his comments were being deleted as well. He was answering questions for people, and then he disappeared. And obviously, I got to put this out there before I get into what he was saying. This could be some loser who made up a bunch of shit.
About it.
Not discounting that. I do find a lot of what he said super fascinating, and I enjoyed reading it for entertainment purposes.
Sure.
But I also find it interesting that among the thousands of people who read it, a lot of biologists have chimed in and said, hey, I don't know if he's telling the truth about aliens, but he does seem to be telling the truth about molecular biology. Like language and content-wise, it does seem like this is a molecular biologist writing the article. Not to say that molecular biologists can't get bored and perpetrate a hoax. Just that this is someone who has knowledge relating to this field.
A little bit of credibility. Yeah. Okay. That is interesting.
One thing I wanted to touch on that relates to the recent, supposed molecular biologist claims to that of SEDGE Masters in 1988 or 1998 was the details of the autopsies of the, biologics. So from SEDGE Masters, quote, the autopsy of the deltoid craft's occupants showed that they were of very light build, clearly not from this planet. The simplicity of their brain structures and non-communication in the face of stalwarts efforts by researchers led investigators at the time to conclude that they were not the original designers and builders of the craft involved in the incident. Rather, it seemed they were biological robots designed and bred for the purpose of undertaking such dangerous missions as flying through the atmosphere of an alien world. The survivor finally died when its body accumulated toxic waste products from its metabolism. There were no apparent excretory systems or sexual organs. Then, our mystery biologist said, the digestive system is extremely underdeveloped. There's no stomach in the familiar sense. However, there is a pseudostomach located between the thoracic and abdominal cavities. This organ is not involved in digestion, but only serves as a reservoir. The intestine is limited to the equivalent of our small intestine, and it only serves to absorb liquids and nutrients and acts as the main digestion site. Given the absence of teeth, the narrowness and rigidity of the esophagus, the absence of a true stomach, and the absence of a place for defecation, it is strongly believed that EBOs can only consume food in liquid form. It is assumed that given the high metabolic needs of their brains, this food would also have a high carbohydrate concentration, and in order to meet other metabolic needs, there must also be a high protein content in the food consumed. It's speculated that the food consumed is a sort of broth rich in sugar and protein. So I think it's interesting that this fella, as well as codenamed SEDGE Masters, both describe this being as almost like an android you'd see be created by Wayland Yutani in the Alien franchise. Like,
right, yeah.
They have real skin. They were engineered creatures that they could sort of send out, drones, which is a theory we've touched on the show, but we haven't really expanded on. Also, they have no buttholes, according to both of these.
Right. No bum. Yep. Stomach is a reservoir. The whole time I was listening to you talking about like what they might feed on, though, I was just waiting for you to be like cows, horses, because I feel like we've been talking about that and how they might be going to them for food, which who knows?
No, but it totally makes sense of why, they would abduct people and mutilate cows if they are being sent here by something else. Well, yeah, they have to take samples back.
To bring back to the station, ship, whatever.
Doing all this on the ship. They're being sent here from God only knows where, somewhere far away.
Right.
But the big question, the why of it all, the why collect samples, why monitor us, why keep such a close eye on our nuclear weapons, why are they here? According to these two very long pieces written by mystery people that I'm going to link in the description of this video so you can read to your heart's content. I have about 15 to 20 links for this fucking shit.
Woo.
According to our supposed interactions with these life forms, there is a field of consciousness that pervades the entire universe, and any place in the universe where there's a high concentration of biological life, it creates a gravitational pull that draws in this consciousness, and that's how life in that area becomes conscious. So their job, the job of these drones, is to go around the universe and find pockets where there's an abundance of life and act as a caretaker of that life, because it is so rare and it is so important. And because this consciousness is collective, one of my favorite terms of all time,
Obsessed.
the life on this planet does affect the overall consciousness of the universe. So they foster life here to ensure the life gets to where it needs so that consciousness is drawn here and those beings become conscious. And the entities also believe that there's something that happens when you get to a certain level of consciousness, like a great awakening. And they supposedly call it apotheosis.
Oh.
So the question becomes, are they trying to guide humanity towards apotheosis in order to advance the consciousness of the universe? Are they trying to stifle the apotheosis in order to keep human beings at a level of control? Or are they simply keeping an eye on things because we are so close to reaching apotheosis, but also so close to destroying all life on the planet and essentially having to start over, which may not happen again for 1 billion years?
Right. Wow. Okay,
It's a
you're
lot.
right. It wasn't scary. That's more of like a beautiful reason to be watching us. It seems like they're wanting to help us in some way. And the guide part of it totally connects to when Caitlin was on the podcast and she
Yeah.
was talking about alien guides. That was like her whole conversation is like she believes them to be guides that are coming to us to kind of help us along and to reach this enlightenment, which I like to believe that, but also there is a part of me that believes in the control part of like keeping us where we are. We don't need to know too much. I could see both. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
and
that's
the thing
fascinating.
about the thing I struggle with is if they are trying to foster this, great awakening where we're going to reach a level of consciousness, that's going to cause whatever to happen. Why wouldn't they contact it? Or is it illegal?
Right.
Like, why
Yeah. Are they not
wouldn't
allowed
they
to?
contact us on a grand scale? But the thing is, they can't, there's the I can't remember the name of the school, but the school in Zimbabwe where all the children saw a craft and saw the beings, and the beings like telepathically kind of like told them, like shared, it wasn't even like words, it was just like emotions about like taking care of the planet and how important it is and how we're destroying it, and how
Yeah.
important it is that we survive. So like it does
Yeah.
seem like there's little pockets of that happening,
Right.
but
Giving
it's not
that
happening on a
feeling
grand
what we need to do.
scale.
Not at all. I'm like, more people need to know.
Wake
But
up, folks.
folks, that is crazy. All of it is crazy. And it just makes me believe in it even more. I mean, we have always been on team aliens being real, but just we are getting so much validation lately, which has been very cool. Everything you're saying is more under the radar and even cooler. But I also just love that, like, finally government officials are coming forward and being like, yes, it is real. And like, maybe we'll tell you about it soon, or maybe it'll still be mysterious. And that everyone is so unbothered by it. Also, like, all of humanity is hearing the news and is like, oh, aliens are real? Yeah, I mean, I figured, but I'll wait till you tell me more. And once you have something interesting, then I'll be paying attention. Like, everyone just kind of looked over it when news broke, but
Yeah. Well, and I think it's also because, a lot of people are saying the government is saying aliens are real. And it's like, well, technically the government is not saying that aliens are real. Technically, members
right.
of the military are coming forward saying the government knows they're real and they aren't telling us for some reason. But the government is still
Right.
zip
Yep.
silent.
Well, that's the thing. They're leaving everything still so mysterious, but it just feels like each year we're getting closer, but we've learned absolutely nothing. And so that's why I love everything you're saying, because I am just waiting.
It's hard because, like, are they not sharing with us? I think it's pretty damn clear at this point that the government knows more than they're telling us. How much more, I don't know,
Sure.
but like I think it's pretty. I'm at 100% clarity that like the government absolutely knows more than it's telling us. But why aren't
Yes.
the whole like we
Why?
can't
What's
say
the
because
reason?
they'll freak out. That's been proven wrong. We obviously won't freak out. We're obviously all on the same page of like, just fucking tell us.
We're just like, just tell us, we're ready.
But I wonder if they won't tell
Fine.
us as a means of control, or if they won't tell us because they truly don't know, and that's
Yeah.
not embarrassing for them, but like that doesn't make us feel safe. That doesn't make us feel reassured.
Totally.
If they're like,
saying
yes,
like, we haven't
here's the
figured it
thing.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah. Then there might be hysteria and like,
exactly. Like if they come forward and they're like, here's the thing. Okay, remember Roswell? And we were like, it's a weather balloon. It wasn't a weather balloon. It was an actual craft. There were 5 beings in it. We don't know where they came from. We don't know what their purpose was. We don't know, then people might be like, huh?
what?
We know that their
Yep,
technology is so
totally.
advanced that
Then
they
we're
could
gonna
wipe us
freak
out in a
out.
fucking snap of their
Yeah, then
fingers.
we're all like
But they
preparing for the end of the world.
haven't.
And they could have.
And they
It sounds
could
like.
have.
I just want to know everything. But this excites me because
Yeah.
I do feel like we're inching closer. Somebody knows something.
Well, I have enough time for one more alien thing. I was going to save it for next week,
Let's
but I have
do
enough time.
it.
So, fucking Antarctica. Do you know, like, how weird Antarctica is? Just, like, in terms of,
I mean, a little
like...
bit, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's weird in that it's, like, really big and really cold and really scary and no one goes there, for
Yes.
sure.
Right, correct.
There's a lot of weird shit going on there. We have whistleblower
Okay.
David Grush. But we also have... Oh, that was a sad one.
It was a little guy. Just a little guy.
We also have another whistleblower who hasn't quite made his way to Congress, a man named Eric Hecker, who was a former contractor for U.S. weapons manufacturer RAYTHEON.
Oh, boo, boo, boo.
Eric is
Right.
a former Navy officer, but now works as a firefighter and plumbing expert, and was contracted, and I'll explain why that's important. He was contracted to work at RAYTHEON Polar Services Company, and he claims that it is not just a scientific research lab situation. He claims that it's advanced weapons development. He claims that during his time there and due to his position there, he had almost unrestricted access to the compound. And during his stay, he observed highly advanced directed energy weapons and other technologies beyond what we believe to be possible while he worked there. Now, the reason I was like, he's a firefighter and a plumbing expert, because when you apply for jobs in, say, like, Alaska in one of those science programs or Antarctica,
Right.
it's good for you to have like 3 things on your resume. Like, I'm an engineer, but I
Okay.
can also, give
Do these other
I
things,
I
yeah.
could give stitches. You know what I mean? Because it's
Right.
like there's only room for a couple hundred people. So if you're
Totally.
a firefighter and
Yeah,
a plumber,
so you have to have a few skills. You gotta
Right.
you gotta do it all when you're here.
that's how he got the
so
job.
Interesting.
So, he specifically points to something called the Ice Cube Neutrino Observatory Detector. According to the website, the detector, because I looked this thing up, I was like, is this real? The detector is a cubic kilometer particle detector made of Antarctic ice and located near the South Pole Station. It's buried beneath the surface of the ice at about 2,500 meters deep. It is the first gigaton neutrino detector ever built, and it was designed to observe neutrinos from the most violent astrophysical sources in our universe. What does that mean?
What? Who?
What's a neutrino? I've never heard that word in my entire
What
goddamn
is a
life.
neutrino? I thought when you went into more detail, you were going to explain it.
I
and
will.
I'm still like, but what's the neutrino?
According to PBS, whom I trust with my
Oh,
life,
love PBS. It's truly.
neutrinos are teeny tiny, nearly massless particles that travel at close to light speeds. They are subatomic particles and one of the most abundant particles in our universe. They make up most
Whoa.
of the space of our universe.
Casual.
Casual. I've never heard of them till today, but fine.
Yep.
Sure.
Yep. Fine. Great.
They are born from violent astrophysical events like exploding stars or gamma ray bursts. And according to PBS, if you were to put your hand up toward the sunlight for 1 second, about 1 billion neutrinos from the sun will pass through your hand without you even knowing, because they have such a small microscopic bit of mass.
That's wild.
It's so wild. So when it comes to this neutrino observatory in Antarctica, supposedly as neutrinos pass through and interact with it, they produce charged particles, and the charged particles traveling through the ice give off light, and that's how they're detected. It's like having a telescope specifically for neutrinos that happens to be like underground. But I tried to look up why we would want to study these neutrinos. Like, how does it help us?
Right. What's the importance? Yeah, what do we learn?
The most I could get is that they are important to our understanding of the kind of processes that go on in the sun, and also an important building block for the blueprint of nature. Okay. I'm pretty sure they're just like, this one's for smarter people than you.
Sure.
Don't bother.
Don't worry about it, sweetie. Yeah. I mean, and that makes sense, but it also sounds like they are doing something more important that we just are not understanding, but maybe.
And it's funded by RAYTHEON, a weapons development company.
Right. So just for everybody to be like, just to understand nature, shut up.
But not just
I don't believe
weapons.
it.
Here's the thing, because I even said that. I was like, they're weapons development. And Joe was like, well,
Yeah, so you're
he
lying.
has a friend who works for RAYTHEON.
Of course, Joe knew. All right, tell me
He
what
has
else.
a personal friend who works for RAYTHEON. He's like, yeah, but like
Okay.
he's doesn't develop weapons. He works on like sonar and radar and stuff. So it's all kinds, it doesn't have to be
Okay.
technically weapons, but it's a lot of
Fair
stuff
enough.
used by the military. But anyways, according to Eric, our firefighter / plumber, he
Yep,
claims
he's got the toilets and
he's
putting
got
out the
toilets,
fires.
and
We
he's
like it.
putting out all the fires.
The toilets.
And here's the thing, though, firefighter, not hot.
Oh, bummer.
Should that be legal?
It's just like the con artist. Like, we are so disappointed.
We are so
by
disappointed
everyone's looks.
in the hotness of these men.
Listen, just want some eye candy, but it's fine. Whatever.
It's fine. According to Eric, our firefighter / plumber, he claims that that is not what this ice cube neutrino detector mamma jamma is cooking up. In the year that he spent down there, he claims he learned that there are 5,160 embedded digital optical modules in the ice that can transmit 2,047 volts a piece. Now, maybe that has to do with the neutrinos. Like, I don't fucking even know what a neutrino is or why we need it or how we detect it. So, like, maybe
Trying to
that's true and it's
understand.
just part of the neutrinos. But
Just sounds like a lot.
he thinks, from everything that he saw, that this thing is not looking for neutrinos, but it is a multifaceted directed energy weapons platform. He thinks it could potentially be used for quantum communications, which is communicating with spacecraft throughout our solar system. He also believes the South Pole Station acts as an air traffic control station for off-world craft, including extraterrestrials and human-made vehicles that emit neutrinos. Okay.
All right.
His most disturbing claim is that during the year he was there, again, 2010 to 2011, seismic activity occurred when the ice cube neutrino detector was first activated, indicating its potential to generate earthquakes.
Ooh. No.
Too scary. Hate him. Hate him, hate him,
I
hate him.
hate that. I hate that so much.
He also says that this station, this South Pole Station, houses an ELF, extremely low frequency system, which we all know because we listen to this show what low frequencies can do to our fragile minds. When he arrived there, he was told that it was deactivated. But upon further interactions with the ELF, he believes the system to be completely energized, up and running, and being utilized with the other systems at the station.
So what are you doing with those low frequencies?
He said he's seen a powerful green laser shooting from a facility on base. The specific facility is the Atmospheric Research Observatory that's located in the clean air sector. And he's also raised concerns about the power supply at the station, noting that all of the equipment that they use there and the advanced technologies he witnessed led him to believe that there's a hidden nuclear power supply powering the facility, which would be illegal because the Antarctic Treaty was signed in 1959 that says nuclear weapons or power is a no-no. The only station that was allowed to use it was the McMurdo Station, which was established 3 years prior to the treaty.
Okay.
So, That's what this guy's
So
claiming.
what's the green laser?
What are they doing up there?
Just want to know.
A lot of people, the thing is, a lot of people have claimed to have run-ins with the U.S. military in Antarctica. Supposedly, people have tried to explore outside of wherever their cruise was, or hiking expeditions have taken them, and they've been greeted with guns, jets, and military vehicles, commanded to turn around or be fired upon. Of course, they can't find proof of this anywhere aside from a bunch of people saying that's what they experienced.
Right.
We know the military makes trips to Antarctica because they are the ones who transport what these scientific bases need in terms of equipment and supplies. But could they be doing more? It would be illegal if they were doing more. Because Antarctica,
Illegal.
you can't do anything military-wise on that continent.
Shouldn't be doing it.
But as I was researching this, because I was like, fucking hell, what's going on in Antarctica? I was researching the RAYTHEON base, the polar systems or whatever. And if you think it's hard to get into Antarctica, it also seems impossible to get out because first of all, Eric Hecker testified that there were certain people on the scientific base that were completely sequestered from others. Like, he wasn't even sure if they communicated with anyone else on the base. No one he talked to had a direct line of communication with them, which is strange.
Very bizarre. Yeah.
And that's something that like
shouldn't be the case.
When you hear people who claim to have worked at Area 51, like Bob Lazar, where it's like, we only know what we're working on. We don't know what the guy next to us is working on. We definitely don't know what the guy down the hall is working on. We have no communication with each other. We cannot share information. So no one knows what anyone's working on.
You have to just be in your zone. Yeah. Well,
but
it
then,
sounds like that's what's happening.
I found this case from 2011 where a manager of Raytheon Polar Services Station suffered a stroke and wanted to be treated in a hospital, and Raytheon said, no. Sorry. The physician on base recommended her immediate evacuation. Her family set up a website to gain support for her, and they even enlisted the help of a U.S. senator and an attorney to try and get her out, and nada. It was over 6 weeks before she was allowed to board a cargo ship and fly to a hospital in New Zealand and then to Johns Hopkins in Baltimore. And because of the weeks and weeks of no treatment, she was still suffering short-term memory loss, vision impairment, and slurring of words over a year afterwards.
No.
And Raytheon has not come forward and said, like, why they wouldn't allow her to leave.
And what is going on?
And, like, the thing is...
Like, what happened to her, too?
What do you mean? Oh, the last article I could find about her was from 2012, the following year, when they, like, caught up with her, and they're like, how are you doing now? And she's like, I mean, I still slur my words, and my vision, I'm allowed to drive now, because my vision has gotten good enough that I can drive, but, like, how could they just, like, play with my life like that? Like... The physician said, I gotta go. It's not like I was just like, I want to go home now. Like, the physician there said she has to go. And they wouldn't allow her to go.
She needs to go. She needs more help.
Which is terrifying.
That is so wild. Yeah.
So,
okay.
Here's the thing. Antarctica is over 5 million square miles. Okay? That's enormous. It's 1.5 times the size of the United States. It's freaking freezing. It's dangerous. It's remote. It seems natural to me that they wouldn't let you just wander around. Stopping you with guns seems a little extreme, but also, like, you're gonna die out there if you go out there.
Sure. 1,000%.
And it's also super dangerous to fly in and out during some conditions, during, like, the winter of winter. Like, it's so cold the engine of the plane could freeze upon arrival. Like, it's no good. But all of this... intel, the fact that the military is clearly working in Antarctica, even if it's under the guise of scientific discovery. You know, we also have the hollow earth theory coming out of Antarctica, which I don't think we've covered on the show, so maybe we should soon. I totally get why there are so many people looking to that continent for
it makes
sky daddies. Yeah.
Yeah, good old sky daddies. Yeah, and it's always been bizarre, like how you asked at the beginning of this segment, like, do you know how weird Antarctica is? Antarctica is? It's like, yes. And I think we've even told
Yeah.
like a couple like weird surfacey stories about it on the show, but like it's always been a weird place, and it makes sense that because it's so like tucked away and almost feels like this place away from humanity, which is rude because people do live there, but you're just like, what happens there?
What's going
It
on
does feel like you can kind of get away with stuff there, which I don't love. I want to learn more. I'm very curious.
There's a lot of people on like online and TikTok and Reddit. They're saying like, you know, it's a no-fly zone. It's illegal to fly over Antarctica. It's illegal, and it's like that's actually not true. Like you can absolutely fly over Antarctica, but there are times of the year where you physically can't fly over Antarctica. It's not
you
a
just
matter
can't
of
do it.
like it's not allowed. It's a matter of like no, we can't. The plane won't survive. The plane will
Yeah,
crash.
the plane's gonna kill y'all. So yeah, that makes sense.
You know.
Well, goodness me, you had so much information.
I did. It really snowballed. I just wanted to cover.
Just really liked it. It felt right.
I just wanted to cover like one thing, and then it kept leading me to more things, and eventually I was like, I'm giving an enormous alien update. I want everyone to know what's being talked about
Good.
outside
Yes.
of, you know, the stuff that everyone's talking about.
Totally. But yeah, it's timely. It's what everyone's looking for because there has been, you know, little bits and pieces coming out that have people excited, and you're giving
I'm giving you the
Under the
tea, the
radar.
piping hot tea.
the tea. Piping hot. That was beautiful. I loved it.
Thank you.
We are the men in black.
We
In
are
our
the man in black.
own fashion.
Sort of.
Oh gosh.
All right, ma'am.
Oh
Do you
no,
remember
is
it?
it
Do you remember the cheer? Do you remember the question cheer?
extra, read all about it? Lauren's got a question and we're gonna talk about it.
Go
questions! Man, I did have to think about that a lot today when I was preparing for this. And this should be quick. We've taken up a lot of your time, everybody, but it does have to do with our spouses and how much we would support them when shit really hits the fan.
Oh boy. Okay.
If your partner committed murder or assisted in a murder, would you help them and go down with them or turn them in? And I do kind of have a follow-up to this too, but I want to hear what you say just like right off the bat.
Here's the thing. Ooh. I
I know.
consider myself to be a real ride or die bitch.
Same.
I think it would really depend on how much heat. How much heat was on him. And like who'd he kill and why'd he kill him?
That's my thing.
You know what I mean?
was
Like,
the
I need
reason?
a
Was it like a
detailed-
vigilante move?
Yeah, did you like off a pedophile? I'm not turning you in.
Yeah. I know.
I'm not doing it. Sorry.
My sister and I lightly touched on this, not at, like to this same scale, but when she was on the podcast, because her current job, she deals with DCFS kids who just have like horrific parents. And she was saying how like if she ever committed a murder, it would be against one of these like abusive or pedophile parents because she just is like so angry that they would treat a child that way. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I get that. So I was the same as you. It depends on the kill and what was behind it. If I'm like, yes, like you're saving the world. But if I find out it's just like a random woman, I like who was just like, oh,
Isn't that funny that as soon
I
as
don't
it's
even
like
know.
I killed a lady, it's like jail. I'll put you there
Jail
myself.
immediately.
And it's like I killed a dude and it's
I
like,
will
well,
do
what
it.
did he do? What did he do?
Listen,
Yeah, totally
I
depends.
know.
If I found out, if like Joe came to me and was like, hey, I'm in a lot of trouble, something happened, and like I find out that like there are 3 missing women that he's involved in,
Right.
like absolutely not. Fry him.
You're on your own.
Fry him. Like I,
Fry
yeah,
'em.
no. But yeah, if he was
1000%.
like, I found out that this guy was molesting this kid, and I got really
And I
fucking
was
angry,
just so angry.
and I killed him, and I don't know what to do. I'll be like,
was-
go wash your hands. We will
I know,
figure
go
this
wash your
out.
hands. We're going to figure. Yes, 1000%. I think of the Black Mirror episode in this last season, Demon 79, which was probably my favorite of the whole season. And just like, I don't know, some people deserve it.
Which
and
one was
like, we're
Demon
just gonna figure out
79?
how to cover it up. with the disco man who was actually a demon trying to drag her to hell,
Yeah.
but she had to commit. Yeah.
But she had to,
I was like,
commit.
and that comes out pretty early in the episode, so it's not a total spoiler. You can see the rest. But basically, a woman had to commit 3 murders who was just like a regular old gal.
Yeah.
But if you make it people who shouldn't be walking the earth, you can kind of
You can
compromise
convince me.
with your conscience a bit.
Yeah, you can talk me into it.
I know. And that is a fair answer.
Yeah.
Of like, it depends.
Depends on the sitch.
Totally.
Depends on the sitch, and I think it would depend on, like, could I get away with it as well? Like,
I know. It's like, because like you said, how much heat is on it. Because if it's like, if I help you, we're immediately caught. Yeah. Are they coming to our house? Oh, then like, sorry.
I'm feigning ignorance.
But if we have
a
chance.
Yeah.
If we have a chance of getting away with it, yeah. Well, then, like, my little follow-up question, which I thought was funny for me, I don't know if you feel the same. It was like, okay, we feel that way about our spouses, but what about if it was your mom and dad
It would be the same
who
thing.
committed a murder?
Exact same thing.
Oh, for me, I'm like, I will defend them.
Well, because we joke all the time about my dad has, like, a big shed where he does all his woodworking, and, like, every time we go out there, because, like, no one goes out there but him, you know, and every time we go out there, I'm like, where are the bodies? Where do you keep the bodies, you psycho? Like, if he ended up being...
Even though he's, like, the sweetest
He's so
man.
sweet, but also if he ended up being a serial
but
killer,
what
I would
if?
be like, yeah, that checks out.
Yeah. Okay, serial killer, I can't defend, no. But I feel like, for whatever reason, if Jeff and Jane had a one-off, I would be like, I don't have a lot of questions. Like, I'm here for you because you don't understand technology or covering up anything. So, like, I'm going to help you right now. And for whatever reason, like, I would so rush to their defense. And then with Alex, I'm like,
You're on your own,
oh,
sucker.
tell me more. Yeah. Sucker.
No, mine would be the same sitch. Same sitch.
All right. I like equality, you know?
If, like, a stranger was like, help me, or, like, a coworker, I'd be like, absolutely not. In fact, you shouldn't have told me anything, because I'm going straight to the cops.
The police are being
I don't
called,
even
right?
like the
I'm
cops,
actually
and I'm
recording
going
this
to,
conversation.
I record
yeah.
just FYI, I record every conversation I've ever had.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Well, that's all the time we
just
have
had to know.
this week for Keep It Weird. Now you know that we will help cover up a murder if it comes down to that. Oopsies. Probably shouldn't have said that.
Whoops.
Please follow. First of all, what am I talking about? Thank you. I always start with a thank you. Thank you so much for listening to our show. You're the reason we have a show, and you're the reason we keep recording a show. So thank you so much for listening this week and all the other weeks. Please, if you don't already, follow us on social media at Keep It Weirdcast on Instagram and Twitter and others, but, like, don't worry about that. If you are watching on YouTube,
Go there.
do us a favor, like this video, subscribe to our channel. I just found out recently we are so close to being able to monetize this channel. If we have 1,000 subscribers, we get to monetize it. We're at, like, almost 800.
Hit us up.
Fucking subscribe. Please, 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 please. We need it. Yes, so proud of you.
It was needed.
Subscribe to our channel. Even if you're not listening on YouTube or watching on YouTube and you're listening on your podcast app, go to YouTube and subscribe.
That's fine.
We won't ever bother
Subscribe
you there.
and you never have to look at us again.
Yeah, you don't have to watch us. Just hit that subscribe button. It's free for you. Check out our Patreon at www.patreon.com/keepitweirdpodcast. That's the other way that we make money off of this show. It's by donations. That's how we make, like, all the money off of this show. It's by donations. You can donate $1 a month. That's nothing. I don't even think we get the whole dollar. I think we get like 72 cents of that dollar, and we'll take it. Okay,
Right.
we need it to produce
We'll
the
take
show.
anything. We appreciate your support.
We appreciate
Please.
it. You can donate $1, $5, $10, or $50 to our show, and in return you'll get a monthly newsletter, you'll get bonus episodes every month, you'll get discounts on merch. If you do that $50 donation, you get to sponsor a segment. You get to make the segment up, you get to name the segment, and, well, if you want to, and that segment is going to be sponsored by you every single time we do it. So every time we do it, we have to mention your name, which is pretty cool. You could be a part of the show. What else? Check out our merch store, www.keepitweirdpodcast.com/merch.
There's good stuff on there.
Did you know our Einstein was
I
a
love our
creep
merch.
shirt got taken down?
I saw an email, like something about that. It's always these like little things that slip in where I'm like, I can tell Ashley's on top of this, but
The
that's,
Hebrew
was
School
it was
of
copyright?
Jerusalem took it down, which is the school that Einstein started. I guess they didn't appreciate us calling a creep. I'll find a new design that doesn't outright call him a creep, and we'll see if we can get it together.
But
So yeah, so that's gone.
that's unfortunate.
But for now, rah rah ah ah, Roma Roma ma, buzz buzz ooh la la. Want your hive romance? It's hive mind.
I don't know how you always nail it. Also, I know the Bad Romance choreography by heart, so if everyone wants,
If anyone
maybe
wants-
if you donate to our Patreon,
You'll do an instructional video.
I won't. Yeah,
An
exactly.
instructional TikTok of the Bad Romance.
Nobody wants that, but maybe.
Whose turn is it? It's your turn to guess.
Ugh! I hate that. Okay.
Sorry about it.
Really sucks.
Okay.
Okay.
Is our vibration raised? I feel raised. I feel a raised vibration.
I do feel raised.
Good and happy
feel
and
good.
energized. Okay. Vibration is raised. My mind is a radio. Your mind is a radio. I'm going to think of the image on the card as well as any other images and sounds associated with the shape on the card, which could be a plus sign, a square, a circle, a star, or squiggly lines. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, let's do it.
Circle.
Negative.
Ah! I'm not even kidding. I was torn between those two. I know no one will believe me, but like at the very last minute I said circle, which I'm now realizing it's because I was seeing my damn ring light.
Ring light will get you. You know what I was
Shining
thinking
through?
of?
I know.
When you were like, oh, I'm struggling and I can't think of it. I just thought of a bowl of spaghetti. So maybe you saw the bowl, but not the spaghetti.
Gosh. I might have. But I was like, squiggly line. It's totally squiggly lines. And then I saw the outline of my ring
No,
light
you
and
have to
mistook
take that
it for a circle.
first instinct.
And I know, like, that has always happened. Trust the gut. I swear.
I do the same thing.
I was about to say
There were
squiggly
a couple
lines.
times where I would
Always
think
trust
it
the
was
gut.
like a plus sign, and I'd be like, no, it's a square, and you'd be like, it's a plus sign. I'm like, fudge!
And I feel like that's always like the
God.
window one for us, the plus sign and square.
All right, guys,
I'm
listen.
so bad.
It's fine. Listen, we're not psychics yet. We will be, though, next week.
We're
probably.
close. We're right there.
In the
We hope
meantime,
so.
keep it weird.